Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com, and this is The Gutters, my audio journal. Hello and welcome to this episode of The Gutters. It's been a while. A lot has happened since the last time I released one of these Gutters episodes. I don't even remember when that was. But I've been collecting some things to talk about, and then just other stuff has happened. So, and man, what a shit show this is right now. The time of this recording, just crap is hitting the fan. You know, we've got all the stuff coming out of the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, which I have been watching every hearing. A lot of this stuff is not news to me because of the sources, the people I follow, other stuff that I've been listening and reading. You know, I already knew about a lot of the stuff, some of the details I didn't know about, but oh man, this just prosecute these people and put them in jail already. So there's that, and then we got the whole debacle in the Supreme Court, striking down Roe v. Wade, and all of the conservative states, including my own, already passing the damn trigger laws. Once the Supreme Court would do that, it makes me sick that women are no longer have control over their own bodies and a say in what they want to do with their bodies. And it's going to get worse. The conservatives have already talked about going after other things like gay marriage and the attacks on trans individuals. I can't believe this is the future I am now in. When I was younger, you know, the future, the 21st century was supposed to be about, you know, it was more like a Star Trek future. I mean, obviously not with the technology and everything, but, you know, a more progressive and inclusive culture. And we are regressing like God. I don't know. I can't even keep up with how much the conservatives are attacking our culture and reversing things, the progress we have been making. It drives me crazy. And I'm sorry to start off with all the politics at the beginning of the show, but man, this is very much on my mind, and it's just making me sick to my stomach. All the stuff that's going on and how it's impacting people now and how it's going to impact people in the future. My granddaughters. Oh God. Anyway, what else has happened? Why haven't you heard from me, at least in the gutters, in a while? Well, in June, there's a lot of things, but I'll talk about just a couple. In June, I had surgery. I had foot surgery to repair something neuroma. And so I don't remember exactly what the specialist called it, but I remember the word neuroma. And so it's basically nerve damage that was causing intense pain in the bottom of my right foot. And I've been living with that for about 3 years now. You know, I was trying to walk it off and that wasn't working. And we have an upcoming trip that we're going to take with my daughter and her kids, where we're going to be doing lots of walking. And I didn't want to be in pain. I wanted to enjoy that time with my family. And so I finally talked to my family doctor, and she sent me to a specialist. And he quickly examined, you know, this is how specialists work. I don't know if you've had this experience, but the few times that I've had is like, well, they take a look at things real quick. They have a quick discussion with you, and they quickly move to, well, let's cut you open. And that's what happened. It happened very quickly once I went to see the specialist. And so basically they, pardon me for, I don't know how graphic I'm going to get in this, but it could potentially be graphic if you don't like the people talking about surgeries. You know, maybe skip ahead a little bit. But anyway, I basically what they were going to do was to repair the neuroma. The doctor made an incision on the top of my foot in between my third and fourth toes on my right foot. So he was going to go in and cut out that nerve that's in between the two, and then clean up the physical damage that the nerve damage was causing. And so he did that. And I proceeded then to sit on my ass for about a week. I couldn't do pretty much anything for a week except sit or lay down. I did end up watching quite a bit of television, catching up on like Young Justice. Not quite. I made about halfway through the number of episodes they had. What else there was something else I watched. Oh yeah. The Marvel What If series. I finished that. My wife and I have been watching some other things together. Yellowstone, for example. Picard. We watched that. So we finally finished that up just recently, actually. But anyway, so I got a nice head start on shows that I have been wanting to watch and not really watching it. You would think, given how much I love comic books and talk about them in the other episodes of the Long Box Review podcast, that I'd be reading a lot. But I don't know. I while I read some books, I didn't really feel like it for some reason. I was maybe a little upset about the situation. I was getting pretty squirrely about just only being able to sit, and getting a little grouchy about it, I think. And you think I would, if you read comics, the things that I love that brings me joy, that would counteract that. But I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, so like I said, I spent a week doing that, and then the next 2 weeks I was on crutches, walking around, going to work briefly, because my wife has a work from home schedule. She works half the time at home, half the time in the office. I'm full time in the office normally, but because of her situation, I cleared it with my boss to just go in on the days that she went in. But even early on, like that first day that I was supposed to go back in, I only made it half the day because my foot was hurting still. Actually, it's kind of hurting now, now that I'm talking about it. Maybe it's psychosomatic. No, it's not, because I did a bunch of yard work a couple of days ago and overdid it. And I'm paying for it because my foot hurts. Anyway, so like I said, on crutches, things have progressed since then. And this last week, I've been walking around without any crutches, any issues. It just, if I walk around too much, my foot does start to ache a little bit because I'm still healing. They took the stitches out a couple of weeks ago, or almost a couple of weeks ago. But my foot is still healing from that. But like I said, I was working in the yard for a few hours a couple of days ago, and I was not experiencing the foot pain on the bottom of my right foot as I normally do when I'm doing that kind of work. So that's a huge improvement. So I will likely, if I don't stress my foot too much between now and then on this trip that we're doing, I will likely... It'll be a success. It'll be fine. I do have some numbness where, obviously because he cut that nerve out. The doctor said that the surrounding nerves should basically grow into that area and restore some of my feeling. That has not happened yet. I still feel quite a bit of numbness in between those two toes. But I'm not experiencing the same pain that I was before. So that's a great thing. And now I'm kicking myself, and my wife was chastising me before too. And she was right. I should have done this a long time ago. After being together now for 35 years, you would think I would know to listen to my wife, because she's almost always right about stuff. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so that was the first thing that happened in June. And so I think it was about 2 weeks after my surgery. And so this is the point where I can walk around using the crutches. I got a call early one morning, 4:30, I think it was. Yeah, 4:30 in the morning. So my phone, actually, I have it set to basically do not disturb unless I get phone calls from my favorite contacts that I've added. And so obviously my wife, my daughter, my father, he's on there. And I get a call from him saying he's going to the hospital. He's having trouble breathing. And I'm like, oh my God, do you want me to come down? And he's like, yeah. And at that point, I knew this was a big deal, because my father is not a histrionic man. He's very quiet, reserved. In the past, I found out that he had gone to the hospital because he was having trouble breathing. My father, I probably should have prefaced this by saying my father has COPD and has for several years. So he has told me after the fact that he went into the hospital because he was having trouble breathing. When he calls to tell me that he's going into the hospital and I should come, that's a huge red flag. And so I can't drive at this time. I only in this last week have I been able to start driving on my own. So my wife has been having to drive me everywhere. So she had to get up at 4:30 in the morning too and drive me down. So we went down there and sat in the emergency room with my father, who was in some discomfort, and they were doing some tests and stuff. So he was in the hospital for, I think, 3 days before they sent him home. And it was, if you've ever had the experience of dealing with a parent who is in ailing health, I think you might know how I feel about this, but it was kind of scary. He was, like I said, my father's a very reserved man. And he was reacting in a way that I'm not used to seeing him react to situations. So, that was not a fun week. I'll just say that. He's better now, and he's seeing some other doctors, being treated, or they're trying to address this current situation where his COPD is, and then we're finding out some other things about his health that were not known before. So we're dealing with that now too. Yeah. So, boy, lots of fun. Lots of fun going on in the Long Box Review household. Like I said, I've been cataloging things. So normally in the Gutters episodes, I talk about what's going on with me, and then I talk about some, entertainment stuff, movies, TV, podcasts I listen to. I have a long list, and I'm not going to go through all these. But I'll just touch on a couple things. I've seen Spider-Man No Way Home. I've seen The Batman. I've seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I enjoyed them. Probably enjoyed Spider-Man more than the other two. We've also, for the first time, was The Batman the first one? No, it wasn't. We went to the movie theater for the first time in almost 3 years, I think. We saw Top Gun Maverick. We saw Downton Abbey, A New Era in the movie theater. I can't remember. I think we saw The Batman in the movie theater. Oh, and then we also went to celebrate the Star Trek The Motion Pictures release in 4K. Fathom, I think it was Fathom Events, was doing screenings across the country. So we went, we actually drove to Spokane, Washington, which is about 80 miles away, so that I could watch the motion picture on the big screen for the first time since I saw it in 1979. And that was fun. That was so much fun. I asked my wife and Maddie to go with me just to experience that with them. They're not big Star Trek fans, but they graciously agreed to go with me because I didn't want to go alone. But it was a lot of fun. It was really great to see that, and in its entirety, because when I first saw it in December 1979, there was something else I've told the story before, so forgive me if you've heard this before, but there was some other movie that was really popular out at that time. My parents dropped my brother and I off at the movie when you could do that with a 10-year-old kid. Well, no, I guess I was I was about to turn 12, actually. No, 11. I was about to turn 11. So I was 10, I think. I'm trying to do math in my head right now. Anyway, they dropped us off. There's this long line to buy tickets at the box office. And stood there and I know, we were already like just a few minutes before the movie was supposed to start when my parents dropped me off. And I know we're going to be late, and I'm going crazy that I can't be sitting in the seat watching the movie from the beginning. Anyway, all of a sudden, this mass of people in front of us just all leave because apparently whatever other movie that was, they had sold all the tickets, and so no one could get into the showing. And so I grabbed my brother's hand and I ran and dragging him behind me, running to the box office to get the tickets to the show. And we get inside and he's like, I want to get some popcorn. I'm like, no. And I'm dragging him through the lobby to get to our seats. And I had missed the opening scenes. I don't remember exactly when I came into the movie. All I know is the movie had already started. I missed the opening with the Klingons and Spock. It had something to do with Decker. So it may have been that scene where Kirk is telling Decker that he's taking over the center seat. So I think it has something to do with Decker. Anyway, so it would be a few years, maybe several years before I got to see the motion picture from the beginning once we could rent it. Or it was on HBO or something, or Showtime, I forget whichever service we had back then. Anyway, but like I said, first time I've seen the movie on the big screen, so that was nice. Let's see here. TV-wise, I've already mentioned how we've watched Yellowstone, which surprisingly, I've really enjoyed that with my wife. It's grown on me, for sure. Last night, we just finished The Marvelous Ms. Maisel. Mrs. Maisel? I forget which. Is it Ms. or Mrs.? I think it's Mrs. Maisel. Season 4, the end of that. So now I'm anxiously awaiting season 5, the final season. I mentioned we watched Picard season 2. We have watched all of the episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the first season. I'm loving it. I'm going to talk about these, Picard, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, and Discovery in some future center seat episodes. So if you're curious about those, watch for that in the feed. And then finally, I watched this on Netflix? Reacher, the TV series. That was pretty good. And let's see here. Podcast wise, the Serial had a new series, The Trojan Horse Affair. That was from a while ago. I also listened to The Coming Storm, which was, I think, a BBC-produced podcast that took a look at how we got to the January 6th insurrection. So that was interesting. There's a somewhat new, I feel like I've talked about this before, but I have it on my list. Somewhat new, new to me, I should say, a podcast called The Cinephiles, where these two hosts, one of whom is the co-host of the Enterprise Incidents podcast that I love. And so I followed him to his other show, which is this Cinephiles. It's CINE-Files. If you try to look it up or spell it like I thought it was spelled, you're not going to find it, which is why I give you that information. But anyway, that's a lot of fun because they talk about all these movies and give you trivia about the movie and just explore the movie's themes and whatnot. So I really enjoy that. There were a few interviews from the Comic Source podcast with Jerry Conway and Christopher Priest that were spectacular. If you enjoy listening to creators talk about their work, how things get done, basically. So that was a lot of fun as well. So you should check that out from the Comic Source podcast feed. And just a couple more things, just real quick. I want to congratulate the Meanwhile at the podcast, George, Rodney, Kristen, and I'm forgetting Kristen's husband name. I'm so sorry, Kristen's husband. Anyway, they celebrated 150 episodes a while back, but I wanted to just let you know that they've had this. I think they're now in in the 160s, I think. I don't know. But it's a wonderful thing. They do it. George and Company do this every week. They release an episode every week, which is not something I can do. So I'm always impressed by people who can hit a schedule like that. not to mention with multiple co-hosts, just the scheduling of that is, I can imagine it's difficult to get everybody together every week like that and still, record and edit, release these episodes. So amazing feat. Plus, not to mention just the content they provide. I really enjoy that show. And just to let everybody know, Just Another Fanboy is a podcast that I have been listening to for a little while now. And Stephen, the host, went on sabbatical for the month of June and asked a bunch of fellow podcasters, myself included, to guest host an episode released in June. And so I did that. I had a lot of fun. I previewed something that I am going to do in the future at the time of this recording, and involving what I'm calling one-hit wonders for comic books. And the first thing that the preview was about the Madame Xanadu issue from, 1980? So if you're curious about that, wanting to have a advanced listen to what's coming, then you can go check out the Just Another Fanboy feed, and this was episode 270 if you're looking for that. So there you go. Yeah, normally I would talk a little bit more about some of these things, but give you some feedback on them, or at least my perspective on them. But I think this is good for now, and we'll see about future The Gutters episodes. Anyway, if you have any feedback for me, any comments, you can email me at longboxreview@gmail.com. You can leave comments or interact with me, generally speaking, on social media at longboxreview, all one word. And I also have a Google Voice number that you can text comments to, or even leave audio feedback on the voicemail. And the number to call or text is 208-953-1841. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to me ramble about various things. Thanks for putting up with me as I stepped on that soapbox there at the beginning. But I really appreciate you guys. Anyway, I think I'm rambling now, so I'm out of here. Bye-bye.